The McLaren Trophy Europe moves to Spa-Francorchamps this weekend. We are ready for the first of two races, the first 50-minute race of the weekend on a circuit that is loved by the drivers. It is also treated with a certain amount of respect, especially today. We've had quite a bit of rain this morning. We've not had any rain for the last hour or so, and the track is damp but drying, and this is going to be another test for the drivers because as the race goes on and the road dries out, of course the grip levels are going to change, and tyre management is going to be key to all of this as well. 50 minutes with a mandatory pit stop then. David Addison and Tommy Erdos trackside, looking forward to what promises to be a really good race. We've got 17 cars on the grid. One damaged in qualifying sadly means we don't have 18, but even so, the biggest ever entry in McLaren Trophy Europe's history, and that's really encouraging.
Yes, David, great to see 18 cars started in qualifying today. Unfortunately, we lost one due to an accident at the top of Eau Rouge. It was very damp at that point, and yeah, Rafa Martinez there, very unfortunate with that car. But yeah, we have 17 cars on the grid. Really looking forward to this round here, this fantastic venue.
Now, let's get the admin out of the way in a second, because we have to factor in things like pit windows and compensation times. We'll come to that in a moment, because as we look at the pole position car of Josh Mason and Sam Nessa, this is a car that's had a race win already this season. And down on the grid is Alexandra Legui. She has found Sam Nessa for a quick word before we go racing.
A very positive Greystone lockout, P1 and P2, and I'm here with Sam. Were you locked in straight away, or I mean, it's a bit of a precarious circuit, isn't it? But how's the car feeling?
Yeah, the car's been feeling good, to be fair. It's hard to know what to expect, obviously coming to a track we've never raced at before, and especially getting to grips with it when the track's wet and as precarious as it has been. Can't take all the credit, obviously, because Josh was in the car for qualifying and he did a mega job, so credit where credit's due. He's done a really good job and we're in a good position. So,
Greystone lockout the front row. What's the deal here? Have we got any team strategy or the gloves off?
No team orders, it's game on really. Obviously discretion where it's needed, not racing each other to the absolute limit, but it's each for their own.
Yeah, okay. You seem very calm, very composed. When I spoke to you earlier, you seemed very confident. To what extent does that transfer when you're behind the wheel around a circuit like Spa?
Well, I think it's essential to always have a clear head, because you don't want to get carried away. And I think that's always that's something I've always kept in mind, is just keeping calm behind the wheel, because it's what you need to perform, really. You need to be able to think while you're driving.
Good. Well, powers are on, gloves are off.
Sam Nessa, 2 years ago, was the Junior Fiesta champion, and the grid, encouragingly now, full of young drivers. Yes, there are some gentleman racers, but a lot of people now seeing McLaren Trophy Europe as a good way of launching a GT career. Their number 17 is the car that Jaden Kelly is going to start. 3 wins out of 4 races this year for the Greystone backed and run car, with Michael O'Brien as the second driver. And Tommy, these two, so evenly matched, are really hard to stop.
They've been really, really strong in the first 2 events this year, and once again on the front row there, beat by a great lap from Josh Mason, so another car really to watch out for. They're really going to need to fight very hard to keep the number 43 Greystone behind them. So we have a really great prospect for a fantastic race between those 2 cars especially.
Indeed so, and we've also got a quick combination lining up third, Sam Harrison and Leo Calavisili, who were really, really impressive when we saw the cars last. Let's hear from Leo with Alex.
Leo, very nicely done. You boys are at the sharp end, but you are behind 2 rather strong Greystone. What can you do from P3?
Oh, again, I think we want to make a move into turn 1, but starting behind both of Greystones. I've got a feeling they're going to be a bit of a wall there. Hopefully we can move up. We haven't had much running around Spa before. It's our first weekend here. We've had a mix of dry and wet sessions. It's looking patchy on the track, but I think it's going to be a dry race, as long as the weather doesn't change like it always does here. Hopefully we can make some moves on this opening lap and carry on forward to win the race. But
you're proving to be pretty consistent this year. It's turning out to be a relatively good 2025 for you. What is with the Spa in these sorts of conditions, to what extent is it a game of risk versus reward?
I mean, for sure, there's a lot of risk around here. The lap time's fast. We're only about 5 seconds behind a GT3 car, but we haven't got the aero. So when you go up through Eau Rouge, you want to make sure you get the best exit possible. But it gets light. It's like sort of doing an inverted G in an aircraft. You kind of you lift up in your seat. There's a lot of high-speed corners here. It's difficult to put the lap together, but it is definitely, you've got to have some guts about you to get around here clean and fast.
Yeah, well, we'll be keeping an eye on you. Best of luck, Leo.
Leo Caravicili, who lives in Montreux, but born in Chester to a half Greek, half English father. His mum's from Bolton, which has a motor racing link because that's where chevrons were made, great single-seater and particularly sports cars. Member of Team Great Britain from 2018 to 2022 was Leo Caravicili, competing in alpine skiing and the giant slalom and slalom. His dad was a ski instructor in France. He picked it up from there, but always wanted to go racing. So in 2022, he started in the Ginetta GT Academy with James Breckle's team, and then into the McLaren Trophy Europe this season. And he really did look impressive at Monza last time out.
Very much so, and obviously he's used to slippery surfaces with his skiing experience, and obviously a damp Spa is not going to be something that's going to phase him off. Hugely impressive performance from this young man, still young, certainly to me he's very young. But both of them, Samuel Harrison and Leonidas, they're doing a fantastic job, and yeah, he's one to watch again, sure. That car for sure.
Let's go back to the grid. We're just having a bit of barrier repair work. That's why we're slightly delayed before the start of the race. But Kevin Rorschach took a race win at Monza. Let's hear from Kevin now with Alex.
Kevin, you're in a tricky position. However, you have a bit of a reputation for being very good in traffic and very good as a mid-pack climber. What are you boys feeling?
Yeah, Jens is a very experienced driver now behind the wheel, so we're looking forward to the start. I think we're in front of the AM class pack. We have some space to the back, so I think if he keeps out of trouble, I think everything will be fine.
Good, okay. And your strategy generally for this race?
Yeah, we push as hard as we can from start to finish, and let's see where we end up.
Perfect, that sounds like a very good strategy. Best of luck.
And another good sound that you've heard in the background is the 3-minute klaxon sounding. Right, Tommy, quickly, admin. There's push to pass, there are pit stop windows, there are pit stop times, there are compensation times. Go for it.
Yes, lots to think about, lots of maths to really work out, see what's going on. Obviously, success penalty, which is obviously if you win a race, you get 7 seconds added to your pit stop. Second place gets 5 seconds, third place gets 3 seconds. Easy. So from last event, obviously we have car 17 of Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien will get 7 seconds at the pit stop, car 12, the SMC car with 5 seconds, and car 90, which is the ALM motorsport of Leonidas we just heard from. They will get 3 seconds on the pit stop. And obviously that goes through the Pro-Am and the AM class. We have a 72-second pit in to pit exit time that the cars obviously spend as they come in and out of the pits here at Spa, because you have a very long pit lane going through the Grand Prix side and the endurance side. Sure. And then obviously that success penalty will be added to those pit stop times.
Okay, now the pit window differs depending on which category you're in.
That's right. Yeah. So we have different pit window times, and they are 30 to 40 minutes for the Pro and the M. Sorry, for the Pro-Am class. We'll get between 30 and 40 minutes. They'll have to pit to do the pit stop, and then on the M only class and the Pro only class is between 25 and 35 minutes. Those are the pit windows.
Okay. So that puts the emphasis in a Pro-Am car on the AM doing the work rather than letting the Pro do all of it and the AM just taking the glory.
Very much so. So this is, again, a very AM-based series, and the rules reflect that, for sure.
So Trevor Williams, who is the race director for McLaren Trophy Europe, has given the signal that engines can be fired, the grid is to be cleared. The fans who've had a bit of a break while Lamborghinis have thrown themselves at the scenery are now ready to go back to race action. Tim Docker there lining up towards the rear of the grid. He is going to serve 5 seconds extra in the pit lane. The one car that we've lost, rather sadly, is that of Rafa Martinez, who was coming back with Jessica Edgar in a Race Lab run car just for this weekend. We saw him a lot last year in GT4 as well as in McLaren Trophy races. And sadly, it's a damaged car that's going to put him out of this race, and we also fear race 2. So real shame for one of the good characters of McLaren racing. But isn't this a great sight to see a big grid and a biggest ever grid stretching down the F1 pit straight here at Spa?
It's awesome to see so many cars on the grid here, starting what is, for me, one of the best circuits in the world. It's just a phenomenal place to be racing. A little bit of damp patches here on the track, and some of these AM drivers will really have to focus very hard. And as Samuel Harris was saying that up at the top of Rouge as well, it gets very sleepy, very greasy, and so these guys will be extremely focused right now. Yeah, it's not completely dry, but it looks like the weather's going to hold up, and yeah, hopefully a full dry track in 2 or 3 laps, maybe.
That's brave talk at Spa, Tommy.
There you go. Yeah, it is around here. It is for sure.
Yeah, true. You can tell Tommy's indoors, can't you? He doesn't have to face the elements like these drivers do. So we'll have a look at the grid. These are your start drivers. You don't have to have a co-driver, but most do. Josh Mason will start on pole position. He's also racing in the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa from tomorrow onwards. Alongside him is Jaden Kelly, ahead of Sam Harrison and then Zach Meakin. You've got Will Aspin starting 5th alongside Jens Richter. Then Mikael Karlsson, the Swedish driver. Danny Henry, soloist, is going to be alongside him, starting 8th on the grid. He runs in the AM category. Starting 9th is Nick Halstead, who's been a double winner this season. Did drop into the gravel yesterday morning, but was okay and continues in the weekend. Bill Fenech alongside him, ahead of Eric Behrens and then Ryan James. He is going to go from 12th on the grid. 13th, another welcome returning combination, in fact, Albert Jochems and Charles Voltzmann Jr. And alongside them will be the car that Klaus Halsig starts. Albert Jochems will start the Neiman Autosport car, Klaus Halsig alongside. Then you've got Fiona James starting in the car that she shares with Maurice Henry, Tim Docker on his own, and then Ron Trenker sharing with the ever-quick John Lancaster to round out the grid. And one of the beauties of double driver racing, of course, differing paces of a pro and an AM means cars rise and fall in the order accordingly, depending on who's behind the wheel.
Yes, and so obviously at the pit stops and driver change, we'll see perhaps a lot of changes on the grid. But again, this is an AM-based series, and the AMs have to do the hard work and hopefully bring the car back to the pit so that the pros can have a little bit of brakes and tyres left.
You just saw Ollie Webb there, whose CV is virtually a book. There's barely anything he's not really raced, or somewhere he's not raced. Drivers then getting themselves ready for the obligatory pit stop window and ready to jump on board. Bit of weaving going on. Pirelli tyres, the cars run on. It's an opportunity this lap, Tommy, not only to get warmth into the tyres, get the pressures up, but also find out where the puddles and the damp parts of the track might be.
100%, yeah. And the AM drivers will be getting their pro counterparts, talking to them on the radio and advising them as they go around. This is really difficult conditions with the damp patches, as you said. So the early laps of the race, very crucial for them to get a good feel for, as you said, where the grip level is.
So coming then down through campus, past the college, and then up towards the Cours Paul Frere. The fans still in their waterproofs, but it is Spa after all, so it's probably a balmy day for Spa. Getting ready for what's going to be a 50-minute race. Race 1 of 2 of the weekend. Brands Hatch was our opening venue of the season, and the first time the championship had been there. Then Monza, and now to another legendary circuit. You can see in the pit lane the teams preparing themselves, ready to look at data, looking at the TV pictures. Maurice Henry in the Race Lab Speedworks entry. He will take over from Fiona James, who goes first. Standing start, which is in a sense unusual for a category like this. The lead car gets out of the way. The cars then are released up towards a one-by-one staggered grid. Pole position on the inside for La Source.
Yeah, standing start, which is really very difficult in these cars. We're talking, 580 to 620 horsepower, all driven at the rear, and very difficult to start, especially on the ground the way it is, with a few damp patches. There'll be differences between the sides of the grid, left and right side of the grid, as far as grip level. So hopefully these guys get a good feel for it just now lining up on the grid. Again, you mentioned briefly about the push-to-pass buttons that we have in these cars. When you see the front sort of daylight LED lights flashing, you know that the driver is actually using the push-to-pass system, which is good for 300 seconds. And we have to obviously gauge that throughout the race. Here at Spa, you have a lot of full throttle. You've got to be careful how much you use.
It's true. A very different circuit from Brands Hatch, for example, where they first used it, because as you say here, it's a longer laps, 7 kilometres in length, plus you're on full throttle for so much of it. Right then, it's been a great season so far. More of the same to come. It is race 1 of the weekend in McLaren Trophy Europe. It's the 5th race of the season. It is Josh Mason on pole position. It is Jaden Kelly with him at the front of the grid. And as the green flag is shown at the back, it is go. Now the lights change. Good getaway by Josh Mason. Not a great start by Jaden Kelly, and that means that Sam Harrison gets the drop on him up into second place in the white car then as they head into La Source for the first time. An effort being made and contact because Jaden Kelly gets turned around, and that was Will Aspin on the inside, and a big hit, I'm afraid, with absolutely nowhere to go. Number 17, Jaden Kelly's car is hit very hard indeed. There's debris all over the racetrack. There's another one with huge front damage that is effectively out of the race. There's debris on the road, and I would rather fear this is going to be a safety car.
Yeah, very unfortunate start there for Jaden Kelly. He was already on the back foot at the start of the line, and was one of the SMC cars had contact with the car and spun it around. So really bad start there for the Kelly and Michael O'Brien car, unfortunately.
Absolutely, a lot of damage as well. So we're trying to work out which one it is that got involved, because as you saw, there was a car that really piled into the car of Jaden Kelly coming out of La Source. Down they come now towards the right-hander of Bruxelles, and a lot of weaving going on, almost as though a safety car has been called. But at the moment, we still have green flag notification on our screens. I think the safety car has been called, just given the way that the pace is slow, but we're still green on the timing screens, looking for a light panel. Yeah, boards are there. So safety car deployed, and that's not a big surprise. Danny Henry was the other driver involved in it. So Danny Henry was the one that got involved. There is the car, and that looks very second-hand, doesn't it? Big, big impact.
Yeah, I think it was just unfortunate for Danny there. He was just at the end of that. I think Will Aspin may have been involved with that as well at the start. Yeah, absolutely horrendous start there for the Kelly and O'Brien car. Was on the front row, but as you saw there, he was slow getting away from the grid, and that really put him on the back foot.
Well, it's going to make it interesting in the championship, isn't it? Because it's going to be no points for Jaden Kelly nor Michael O'Brien today. That is the rather shortened version of the McLaren being taken away, as a very frustrated Michael O'Brien knows that there's no drive and no points. Now, the safety car is going to go through the pit lane. Because of the debris at La Source on the track, rather than have people drive over it, they will use the pit lane as part of the racetrack. Good call that by Trevor Williams, the race director. So that gives the track workers a little bit more time, and it also means there's no chance, really, of any debris being picked up by the Pirelli tyre.
No, it also gives the drivers now on the car a perfect scenario in terms of getting used to where the damp areas are on track. They didn't have to do that in the first lap of the race, so it gives them a bit more time to see where they can or cannot push. Great start, by the way, by Sam Harrison. Once again, the ALM Motorsport car, they're really doing very well immediately.
And you can see not only is there debris, there is liquid as well. So quite understandably, bring the cars through the pit lane. They completely bypass that. So here they come down the pit road, and Josh Mason. Good start, race leader, making his CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa and GT3 debut as well this weekend. So he's one of a number of drivers on double duty. Have a look at the start. So Jaden Kelly in the grey car on the right as you look, didn't get away well. Then have a look at Will Aspin up the inside. Here he comes because he makes a big, big dive. There is room, and then the gap closes and he just tags the back of Jaden Kelly, and Danny Henry completely unsighted. That's quite a big impact for Danny Henry, who turns the corner and he's about to accelerate, and here it comes, bang! Nothing he could do.
Yeah, just parked to the wrong place, really, Jaden Kelly's car there. Will Aspin's move there on the inside looked a little ambitious from this angle, but obviously, as always, we need to look at every angle afterwards, which I'm sure I'll be busy doing that.
Yes, we need to explain. Tommy is also the driving standards advisor. So he loved Brands Hatch because you were in the bar early, but that's going to keep you occupied, that one.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a sort of an early visit to the bar, this one. So that one alone will keep us busy. But such a shame to lose three cars, potentially even, before lap one.
Yeah, certainly two we've lost, and I just wonder whether Will Aspin's car has picked up any damage, but you can see the liquid. It's coolant, really, that's come out of the front of Danny Henry's car, and that is on the road, so that needs to be treated to make sure that the cars don't lose traction. The car of Jaden Kelly looks damaged, yes, but at least it's able to be towed away. So the track is clear pretty much of cars, but it's just now the debris and the liquid that needs sorting out as well. So that rather turns the race on its head, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's on the positive side of things, as you said before, it does keep the championship a little bit open now with the Kelly car not scoring on this round one. And of course, the Greystone crew will be on to the number 43 car, and they have a good chance here. Certainly the pace of both Mason and Nasser are very, very strong. So they have a very good opportunity to grab some really good points.
And they don't have any extra time to serve in the pits. Now there is Will Aspin's car, and you can see the damage. It looks pretty much just cosmetic to my eye.
Can't see any fluid running from underneath, which is always a good sign, so it could be just cosmetic, and we'll see when it gets up to speed whether that bit of bodywork that's obviously, you know, killing some of the aero that comes in through the front of that car, whether that's going to be a problem, and indeed whether any sort of sharp parts might be near the tire, which could eventually cause a damage to the tire. So we'll keep an eye on that, see how that develops.
There's a sand pit, I think, being emptied onto the circuit at La Source. That's a lot of liquid to need all that amount of speedy dry to soak it all up. So the field then, with the safety car driver Christopher Campbell at the front of the queue, the Belgian racer leading them round. Crikey. That's a lot of sand.
There's a lot of sand there, and that's right through the race line. As they come out of the apex of La Source, they will have to cross that, so they need to watch on the loud pedal that they don't, get onto it too hard and lose traction. But again, the drivers have had an opportunity to go around the track now a couple of times. They have a good feel now for where the grip level is, and that at least will hopefully, mean that we have 2 new opening laps without too much issue.
Well, yes. Once the La Source beach is sorted out, Marshall's busy sweeping the speedy dry into the liquid to soak it all up. But yes, it's going to be slippery for the first lap. So Will Aspin, or Waspin as he's often known, W. Aspin, certainly stung Jaden Kelly into that spin, and the lights are still on, of course, atop the safety car. So all of this nibbles into the race. 50 minutes we started with, 43 are on the clock, and the race order is Josh Mason leading Sam Harrison, and then Zach Meakin in third place. Zach also driving in the GT4 races. Let's have another look. So Jaden Kelly just bogged down a little. Wasn't a great launch, Tommy.
No, Jaden Kelly also didn't have the push-to-pass button. If you look, the first 2 cars were flashing, meaning they used the push-to-pass. Jaden Kelly didn't, and that's what set him back. And of course, Will Aspin there on the inside, making contact with his right rear. And unfortunately, Danny Henry there just had a car right in front of him at the apex. Or after the apex. Very unfortunate incident. Yeah,
it's quite a sudden stop for Danny Henry, wasn't it? You could hear the bang, and I think the rear wheels lifted off the ground. So Will Aspin just tags Jaden Kelly's car. Danny Henry, totally innocent. I mean, there's just nothing the guy could do.
No, I think he was trying to stop, and just not enough grip level or brake level at that particular point. But I think Jaden will look back at this, and why wasn't the push-to-pass button activated? Was it an issue with it, or he just decided to not use it at the start? Because that really did set him back.
It did indeed. So the fluid is still being treated. You saw that super slow-mo of the safety car observer with his window out of the window saying, go right, go into the pit lane. Michael O'Brien then becomes a spectator. His car is out of the race. Big frustration for Michael. He can talk about it with Alex.
Oh, it must be very, very frustrating standing here in the pits knowing that you're not going to get behind that wheel. It was a bit of a sitting duck there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. It's hard to see exactly what happened from the TV, but obviously off the start, everyone bunched up at the hairpin, and we got tagged. I haven't really seen it that much yet. Got turned around and then collected on the outside, so not ideal, not the best start, and yeah, just a big shame.
And what sort of information have you heard back via the radios?
Not too much so far, to be fair. Jaden's okay. The car looks pretty worse for wear, so I think now the biggest challenge is just going to be getting it ready for qualifying later on.
And how do you process that as a driver? Like, is it just a case of shrug it off and get on with it?
Yeah, I think right now it has to be. I'm a little bit frustrated, if I'm honest, but otherwise, yeah, you just have to process it, get over it, and move on quickly. That's the key, I think.
Part of the game, right? Bad luck.
Double driver racing, it must be very tempting to blame your co-driver either for a bad start or getting involved in an incident, but that's never going to help the relationship if you want to progress and work well together. You kind of have to take it on the chin and accept that, okay, it's his fault, in quotes, today. It could be yours next time, and just deal with it.
I think always, until you get all the facts and you look at the situation, then it's very premature to actually say what happened there. There could have been an issue, unlikely, but it could have been a technical issue where he couldn't engage the push-to-pass button, or maybe there was a strategy if they planned not to do that. Whatever happened, I mean, those 2 guys are 2 pros. They are doing fantastically well in this championship. They've had a bad luck on this race, but they'll fight back very soon.
So here, more of the cement dust being put down. Danny Henry's car, of course, has limped all the way up towards the top of Radillon. So the only way you can get this done now is just to drop the sand on the liquid and hope now, I think, when we do go racing, that people avoid it. I think if you ask marshals to sweep all of that, it will be here until Tuesday.
It's not a good case, especially as the AMs, or certainly on the Pro-Am side of the championship, the AM drivers are in the cars right now.
Yeah.
And that is a very difficult situation to gauge in terms of grip level now. Now, they've done a few laps. They know that it's not wet around the track, but now we've got this added obstacle, really, in the way of the sand all over the track. So they really need to tread carefully in the first opening laps.
So as the drivers await their turn, we also await further news as to whether the safety car is going to be in imminently or not. Of course, safety paramount, so nobody wants to take any chances. I mentioned that beach at La Source. Apparently it's now going to be renamed La Plage rather than La Source, so okay. Corner names evolve as well. Slippery surface flag, no kidding, is being presented to the drivers, and that will be as they come over the timing line. So the bulk of the circuit is okay. It's just that one section that's pretty slippery. The lights are still on atop the safety car. There is Sam Nasser awaiting his turn. And the AM's frustrated perhaps that they can't go racing right now. They're having to follow the safety car like this.
Yeah, so unfortunately the slippery side of the surface is just before you get into Eau Rouge. So they will coat their tyres with all that slippery stuff, and then they have to get through Eau Rouge with that. So a real challenge here, especially for the AM drivers, when this race does get underway again.
So we've had about 12 minutes, give or take, as the cars come into the chicane. And this time around are going to go through La Source. So now they will be able to have a run behind the safety car, but through the sand, through the slipperiness. So this is the first opportunity they've had to assess a different part of the racetrack and now to experience what that is like. They'll see the sand, they'll see the fact that the marshals have been working, and so one passing, maybe two through that to let them experience it, to have a look where it is. They can choose a line. You are capable of driving around it, aren't you, by the look of it?
Well, you are flying there. Normally, you would exit a little bit later after the apex, which means you would then cross over that line. So clearly, the drivers saw the sand on the ground and decided to go around the outside. Once they're actually racing up to speed, they won't be able to take such a slow line around it. And in fact, as I was saying, they will then coat their tires with all of that sand. And guess what? The next corner is Eau Rouge. So I mean, it's going to be action, that's for sure. And let's hope that they all get through it safely.
Well, indeed, I suspect the AMs will be respectful, won't they? Because the safety car will be in this lap. We are going to go back to racing. The AMs are not going to perhaps push it in the same way that a pro would and have the experience or the bravery to counter any drama. The AMs will be gentle, will be more cautious to begin with. Having said all of that, we're not exclusively AMs. You know, you've got a lot of good silver drivers like Josh Mason, Sam Harrison, Zach Meakin, Will Aspin, all up at the pointy end of the field. So they're going to push.
Absolutely. Absolutely, these guys will push. I mean, it's going to be different for all of them, and of course, the pro drivers have a bit more experience over, different types of conditions and that kind of. So I think you'll see the AM drivers a little bit more on the cautious side. But yeah, once they go through a couple of times, they'll understand what the grip level is, and we're back racing again.
Absolutely right. You just saw Ryan James going through the shot. There he is. He's leading his class. Ryan James in number 22 in the Pro-Am entry with Ollie Webb. So we have pros, we have pro-ams, and we have AMs. And having mentioned Ryan James, Ollie Webb is waiting for the restart of this race in the pit lane. And while he is waiting for the restart, he can have a quick chat with Alex.
Ollie, that was a bit of a wild start to the race, but you boys seem to have kept out of mischief so far.
Yeah, Ryan had a great start. Real shame for Jaden. I think that could have been avoided, so real shame there. But it's eating into a bit of their track time for the AMs. For us, it's horrible for our strategy. We have a 10-second penalty after the double win in Monza, so we needed Ryan to build a gap, and unfortunately we're all going to pit together, so it's going to put us, I think, last when we come out the pits. So it's going to make for an exciting last stint. But hopefully they get a few laps racing now the safety car's coming in.
What's the name of the sponsor on your car? Apex?
Apex.
Apex.
It is spelled Apex, but we pronounce it.
Tell us more.
So it's to do with autonomous racing, and behind the scenes we're working alongside a couple of manufacturers which soon to be announced. At the moment I'm still in the car, but racing against other cars, racing against humans eventually, that will be self-driven and human-driven together.
And how much involvement have you got then in that?
Well, it's kind of all the brainchild of Ryan James and the Apex crew, which are both stateside in the UK, and I'm the fancy crash test dummy at the moment. That's all I am.
I look forward to seeing how that progresses. Good, back to the action. Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Right, we're ready to go racing again, everybody, with just under 35 of the 50 minutes on the clock now. That point that Ollie Webb makes about it throwing the strategy in the air for many of the teams is a valid one. Let's get them over the line. Let's get them out of La Plage, first of all, and see how they fare. Down to the hairpin at La Source they go then. It is in the lead, Josh Mason, Sam Harrison going after him. Not a great restart by Zach Meakin, who's a couple of lengths back, but now they're about to encounter the slippery part of the circuit, and the tails wag, and that's going to spear cars out wide. So far, so good. Everybody has controlled it. Push to pass being used continues as Josh Mason leads the way, and look for third. You've got them side by side now as Will Aspin comes up to have a go at Zach Meakin. You can tell Will Aspin's car, it's the Cyclops version with one headlight smashed. He stays fourth, but it's nose to tail for the lead, Tommy.
Yes, very good start there. These guys at the front being careful through that sandy bit, and they all got through. I can't see the rest of the pack there. I'm hoping that they've gone through Eau Rouge. Obviously, first lap in anger through Eau Rouge, and they all seem to be safe into La Combe there, fighting for the lead. Losing the lead is Josh Mason.
Yeah, Sam Harrison round the outside. That was brave stuff, wasn't it? Sam Harrison right round the outside. Sometimes in the damp, there's a bit more grip to be found. Josh Mason runs it wide up the curb, and straight away is coming under attack now. Zach Meakin in the first of those Gulf liveried cars right on his tail. Zach Meakin very quick through Bruxelles, almost into the back of Josh Mason. So Sam Harrison, in only his second race weekend in these cars, didn't do the Brands Hatch races, not only got the lead round the outside, but he's pulling away.
He's been looking racing from the word go, really. Almost got the lead at the start. Unfortunately, we had that incident, but he stayed focused, and there he is in the lead of the race.
So Sam Harrison, the man from Ripon in North Yorkshire, student of aeronautical engineering at Loughborough University, he leads the way, and chasing after him is Josh Mason. That in third place, number 68, is Zach Meakin in the car that he shares with Harry Burgoyne, and behind him is the battered car of Will Aspin. And look at the gap these four have pulled already. This is the first restart lap, and they're way up the road.
Yes, and good to see that Aspin staying with the pace at the front, even though he's got that damage at the front end of the car. So clearly that lack of aero at the front isn't really hindering him too much.
Yeah, true enough. Battle on for second place then, but this is a mighty effort by Sam Harrison, who came from historic Formula Ford and Formula 2000 and Formula 3 historic racing into modern GT-style cars this year. Down to the chicane he comes, but that has been a mighty lap to get the lead, to pull away, and there's just nothing seemingly that Josh Mason can do. Right now, he is going to be focused on keeping Zach Meakin behind him rather than trying to go after the race leader. Here they come then, with another 2 minutes and 20 or so on the clock before we need to worry about pit stops. So over the timing line, Sam Harrison has the lead by 1.6 seconds. That's a really good effort ahead of Josh Mason, Zach Meakin, Will Aspin, and then in fifth place it is Mikael Karlsson, but he's already dropped 3 seconds to the leading group. There he is.
And out of the top 3 guys, none of them have success penalty. So it's a clean race on the top 3 there without any success penalty at the stops. We'll see what happens. I mean, the car 12, which is Aspin, in fourth place, he needs to pick up some pace because he's got 5 seconds to serve.
Yeah, Harrison's got 3 seconds, hasn't he, the race leader, Sam Harrison? So
you're right, he does. Yes.
It's the least amount of compensation penalty, yes. But he still would like a 3-second cushion. Now, this is for 7th place, where you've got Ryan James ahead of Nick Halstead, ahead of Eric Behrens, and this is also for the lead of Pro-Am. Nick Halstead, double winner at Brands Hatch, splitting his time between this and the British Touring Car Championship. He also got on the podium in the GT class of the Le Mans Cup second race at the 24 Hours this year, so he's having a busy season and goes well in these cars, with behind him Eric Behrens, very experienced driver, and Ryan James fending them off. What he would like really is for Halstead and Behrens to get busy battling for second, and he can drive away.
Well, that's kind of happening, but Ryan is still doing a good job there, doing the defensive job really he needs to do, but it's a good battle there for the class.
Very definitely. Eric Behrens dropping off the back a little bit, and Nick Halstead, who was a British GT Championship race winner here going back 3 seasons, looking for a way past Ryan James down towards Pont, and even if he can't find a way through, he might be able to unsettle him. But actually Nick Halstead is the one that goes a bit wide into the second part of Pont. He's wide up the curb. Okay, he comes out closer to James, but Behrens is closer to the pair of them. Now Nick Halstead tries the outside line into the pit path. This is brave. Does it work? Very, very nearly. James on the inside line for the run down towards the right-hander at Le Col. To the outside line is Halstead, and he's done it. Nick Halstead around the outside. Excellent move.
Great racing there from Halstead, still on a high from his success at Le Mans. He shared with Brad Ellis in the Road to Le Mans race, supporting race 24-hour, and actually finished, I think, second on the grid in GT3. So obviously that's done a world of good there for his confidence.
And Eric Behrens comes up to have a go at Ryan James as well. This is really rather bad news for Ryan James and Ollie Webb. As Ollie was saying, they've got 10 seconds of success time to serve in the pit. And again, a bit like we saw for the outright lead, the pro lead, once that change happens, the car pulls away. So Nick Halstead, having gained the advantage, has already checked out by the end of the lap.
He has, but you have to say a couple of corners there I noticed Halstead was off the track on track limits, so certainly coming out of Pouhon and just a Blanchimont as well, so he needs to watch his track limit lives. He's using a few of them at the moment.
Yeah, he is rather, as they come then now up over the timing line once again. Pit window is open. As yet, no takers, so the AMs trying to exploit their time behind the wheel. Meanwhile, Sam Harrison still leads Josh Mason now by 2 seconds. Sam Harrison has done the fastest lap of the race as well. Here, heading up towards the Les Combes sequence of corners, you've got Mikael Karlsson just ahead of Jens Richter, and then behind them is the battle for 7th place. There's a big move being made there by Eric Behrens in the black and gold car on the outside line of Ryan James in the red version. Up they come towards Les Combes, brake hard, turn in, and Eric Behrens has done it. So Ryan James gets shuffled back in the queue to 3rd in class, and that's really bad news now.
Yes, 2 positions there in 2 laps for Ryan James, but he needs to just stay focused and keep putting the laps in, give the car back in the pits to Ollie, and I'm sure Ollie will unleash his magic there on track when he gets behind the wheel.
Yeah, he'd quite like a second stint safety car, wouldn't he, Ollie Webb, to bunch them all up again, but we'll see.
I'm sure he's doing that little safety car dance right now.
Doing some voodoo on somebody, yeah. Right, Nick Halstead then, leading, but I wonder whether Eric Behrens might get close enough to him before they elect to pit, because Behrens is flying. So is this man, Sam Harrison, although Josh Mason behind him a little bit quicker in the first sector of this lap. There is Sam Harrison then trying to escape up the road. Like his co-driver, another former skier, before taking up karting and then going into car racing and making that switch from historic racing with limited amounts of aero and grip. Very close to the edge was Josh Mason in the background. You just saw some of the spray being kicked up as he ran wide towards the grass. So Josh Mason is pressing on, no question about it. Behind him is Zach Meakin, and then Will Aspin 4th is dropping away a little bit now, suggesting that maybe that car is not 100%, understandably, after the knock that it took. And Aspin indeed is the first one to bail for the pit lane. So down the pit road he comes. Will Aspin is going to give way to Alejandro Gapet. Last year's champion, Alejandro Gapet, who's had a tough season, really. It's been a bit up and down, mechanical dramas and lack of pace in one race at Brands Hatch. So we'll see what can be done now, bearing in mind the car is already the best part of 10 seconds back, and they have to serve 5 seconds in the pit lane.
Yes, that's right, and that will cost him a lot. 5 seconds, very difficult to make up on track. Josh Mason there on a very quick lap, actually, on this one. Not quite the fastest, but only by hundreds. Harrison obviously purple down on 23.5, but Josh Mason now back to speed. First couple of laps of his race weren't too good. He lost a lot of track time, but now he's on the same pace as the leader.
Rather undignified exit from the car for Mikael Karlsson as Robin Knudsen gets ready to take over. So Mikael Karlsson kind of falls out of the car. Different co-driver, of course, this weekend. Robin Knudsen taking over from Lucas Sundal. So first time that Robin Knudsen has raced one of these, and he's got to play himself in.
Yes, and of course Sundal is still on the grid, but with a different co-driver, which is Eric Behrens.
That's right,
so a bit of musical chairs there, but I think they're all happy, they're all racing, and that's what counts.
Yeah, Eric Behrens started the year with Ashley Marshall, didn't he? But they had mechanical maladies at Monza. So as Sam Nesser gets ready, he's watching the pit stops, he's watching all the data available. We're watching the battle for leadership now in Pro-Am, where Nick Halstead is being caught definitely by Eric Behrens. Robin Knudsen gets ready to go, and Nick Halstead coming under attack then as he drops downhill out of Speaker's Corner. Behind him, you've got that black and gold car of Eric Behrens. Ryan James, he's lost a massive amount of time in about 2 laps. I just wonder whether all is well with that car.
Yeah, I was wondering the same, because his pace is normally very strong at the front. So we'll find out later on, I'm sure, what's going on with the number 22 car.
Mikael Karlsson, you saw a moment ago, go back to 1991. He was racing in Formula Opel Lotus single-seaters, but now very much a GT racer. They're coming out of Blanchimont way up the curb. Is that race leader, Sam Harrison? Got to be careful about doing things like that.
Yeah, but I've watched that. The last lap around that same corner was exactly the same. Sam was driving very well. He got that track limit to a fine art there, so he's right on the edge of it, but he's not going over.
Out of the chicane, another lap in the book. Same for Josh Mason, same for Zach Meakin. So those 3 staying out. Now there, look, is Alejandro Gapet going back up the pit lane. Last time around, Josh Mason, fastest lap of the race. So the lead gap down a little bit now to 1.8 seconds. Away back into the race goes the number 12 entry of Gapet. And now Robin Knudsen will go onto the circuit in number 48. So that is Gapet. Got the damage. Now he has to find out how the car feels, what the track feels like, but also go flat out and try and catch back up to that leading trio. There over the line is Nick Halstead. Behind him is Eric Behrens, and the gap between those two now is about 0.6 of a second, just slightly over 0.6 as Behrens goes through the hairpin at La Source. They're all still steering clear of the bulk of the beach at La Source, aren't they? Not much of that has been ground in. There you've got Kevin Rorsheid getting ready to take over his car when we get to the pit stop window. And more of the teams ready there. Look in the Formula One top pits. Fiona James, in the meantime, involved in a battle, and just ahead is Ron Trenker. There's Fiona James in the yellow-nosed car. Fiona, the lady that runs Valero Racewear, and a great enthusiast of GT racing. We've seen her in GT4 and in Britcar. Pit stop now for 33. That is another newcomer, Bill Fenech, who hands over to former champion of Brands Formula Ford racer Chris Hall, the Brit, who's based in the States these days, also in his 78 Tim Docker. And he is a soloist, so he will stay behind the wheel.
Yes, like Danny Henry, Tim doesn't like to share his car.
No.
And does all the racing on his own. Loves the racing here in Europe, and yeah, a regular contender there.
Big battle there. Fiona James having a look at the inside to try to find a way past Ron Trenker. Didn't work, so it remains Trenker ahead for the moment at any rate. This is for 10th and 11th overall. Fiona James thinks about the inside line. Look down to Brussels, but no way through there. Ron Trenker's car into the top 10. I know we've got a few pit stops shuffling the order, but that was last on the grid, so it's been a good step up through the order.
Good climb there by Trenker, yes. And Fiona actually almost 6-7 tenths faster than Trenker, so she just needs to find a way around, and maybe she has.
Up the inside, coming down towards Pouin, Ron Trenker gives racing room to Fiona James. Nicely done. So through goes the Speedworks Race Lab entry as the top 2, top 3 come into the pit lane now. So Sam Harrison to give way to Leo Caravicili. Then behind Josh Mason will give way to Sam Nessa. And you've also got Zach Meekin to morph into Harry Burgoyne. So here they come down the pit road, top 3. So remember, a longer stop for number 90, the lead car, because that has to serve an extra 3 seconds compared to the other 2. This could also be resolved fairly shortly with pit stops. Nick Halstead versus Eric Behrens into the chicane. Both will stay out for another lap.
Yes, and when the number 90 car came into pits, he only had a 1.5 second lead to Josh Mason. So with 3 seconds added, they should, well, if the maths are right, they will lose the lead to the number 43 car. But we'll see how the teams work in the pits as well. They have a part to play in this. And yeah, be interesting to see what happens after the pit stops.
Certainly will. Downhill they plunge then. Race leaders having completed 9 laps coming into the pits last time. It feels like it's been a busy pit stop race because pit stops are shown as 3 for a lot of the teams, but that includes 2 laps driving down the pit lane behind the safety car. So every time you trigger the pit in beam, that counts as a pit stop, in quotes, even though it's just the regulation stop being served. Here then, Behrens is getting ever more committed. He wants to lead the class before he has to vacate the car. Up towards Lecombe, Nick Halstead doing a good job here. Rides the curb a little bit, so that might give Eric Behrens an opportunity to challenge the other side of the corner. Away goes Caravicili then. And there, coming towards us, it's still Nick Halstead ahead, but only just. Eric Behrens is giving him a huge thing to think about now. Nose to tail into Brussels, and you can see how Behrens has been quicker over those previous laps.
Yes, but very evenly matched. It's only about 2 or 3 tenths between these two in the last few laps. So, and that's the reason why they're running together. But the pit stops could have a difference on that.
Bill Fenech and Chris Hall's car, number 33, which is an AM entry, is being given a 40-second time penalty for not pitting in the correct window. So that's an admin error, really, on the part of the team to have that car called in, you would suggest. So disappointment then. They were on the 5th row of the grid, and it's a Greystone GT entry, so I'm surprised that's happened.
Yes, I mean, again, you never know what happened there. Perhaps he was called in, and or there was a radio issue, or but yeah, whatever happens, they missed the window, and the rules are the rules, and you've got 40 seconds. It seems a harsh penalty, 40 seconds, but
yeah. But if you're stopping early and giving your quicker driver more time, then it's an advantage, isn't it?
It is a huge advantage. Depends.
Yeah, 40 seconds might negate it. Well, on track, it's all been a shuffling because there, look now, it is Sam Nessa ahead of Harry Burgoyne, ahead of Leo Caravicili. So the lead car, with the extra time served in the pits, falls to 3rd place. It wasn't an error necessarily. It was the extra 3 seconds of compensation time that had to be served. there is Tim Docker back into the race. Nick Halstead and Eric Behrens were nose to tail on the track. They're nose to tail in the pit lane.
So no pressure there, but that's down to the teams now in terms of pit work. Let's see who comes out ahead.
Door opening there. Look as the next pit stop cycles through. 28 it is. Jens Richter to give way to Kevin Rohrscheid. Good to see some new names coming into the series as well. There, Bradley Ellis stands ready to jump on board. British GT champion. He is going to take over from Klaus Halsig. As here down the pit lane is the Halsig car, and tucked up behind him is Albert Jochems, who will give way to Charles Zoltzman Jr.
Yes, Albert and Charles, they are returnees. Really, they were racing last year, but they haven't raced at all this year. So this is their first race in 2025, and great to see him back in the series.
Nick Halstead then will help to strap Tom Holland into the car. So Sam Nesser trying to build a lead right now. Leo Caravicoli, interestingly, is not seeming to be able to do very much about the two ahead, is he? Got the push to pass there, the extra boost, trying to catch up, but time lost in the stops and not easy to claw it back. Right, Tom Holland is aboard number 40. So this is a very different situation for the race lead. And right now, Sam Nesser is a long way up the road, isn't he?
Yes, the 43 car now with that that advantage they had before. But Nesser has a lot of pace, just like Mason. So they're still in it in very good chance till they get to the flag.
Absolutely right. So here again comes the lead car, Sam Nesson out the wheel. It was a good opening stint by Josh Mason, keeping the car in the mix. They had honours in that first race at Monza. Missed out in the second, but therefore came here without any extra time to serve in the pits. So, Nesser from Burgoyne, from Caravicoli is how we run within the top three, and it is round about 4.6 seconds covering the top three, but we're about to have a change for second place. Look, because Caravicoli has done it, he's gone through on the inside heading up the Kemmel Straight into Les Combes. So Caravicoli now feeling a bit more confident in the car, makes his move against Burgoyne, who fights back, gets crowded up the curb coming out of Les Combes, and Caravicoli sticks out his elbows, moves right across in front of Burgoyne to cover off the inside line. All of this is playing into the hands of Sam Nesser, who's escaping because these two are holding each other up.
Yes, and of course Burgoyne using the push to pass, and Caravicoli was not. So that's why he's all over the back of Caravicoli, but still not able to get through.
Kevin Rohrscheid aboard number 28, 40-second penalty for a late pit stop. Meanwhile, battle is still well and truly joined here, side by side, almost into point. On the inside line in the white car, it is Leo Caravicoli. In the Gulf colours, it's Harry Burgoyne, moving from GB4 into McLaren's this season, and now looking to try to make a move on the outside line as the cars power up towards the pith path. No way through there. So Leo Caravicoli, who we heard from on the grid, just hanging on to the place. But yes, he worked hard to get through. He's going to have to work even harder to fend off that car. He needs to get away somehow and stop Sam Nesser driving away into the distance with 16.5 minutes, give or take, on the clock.
Still a lot of racing to go, 16 minutes, lots going to happen. But once again, Caravicoli now using his push to pass quite wisely there, coming on to towards Blanchimont, full throttle all the way through there. And he has a little bit of a breathing room there on Burgoyne.
But Sam Nesser has just disappeared. He's not even in the same camera frame anymore. This is for second and third in real terms, but Sam Nesser with a mighty advantage. There he is, building that, and he's benefited on this lap from the squabbles behind him. So now there you've got Leo Caravicoli up into second place. Harry Burgoyne third, just falling back ever so slightly as they come then now up over the timing line. Down now into La Source once again. So Sam Nesser has done 11 laps. He leads by now 5.6 seconds from Caravicoli. Burgoyne is third. There in fourth place is Alejandro Gapet. And then in fifth place now it is Robin Knudsen in the white car here coming into La Source. So those two possibly to get themselves together. 2.6 seconds the margin. And there, look, is now Lucas Sundal in number 88. He's taken over from Eric Behrens and has also vaulted ahead of the car of Tom Holland, Nick Halstead in the pit. So as they come across the line, that should put 88 up into the lead. It does, of the Pro-Am class now.
Yeah, so that's a new pairing there with Behrens and Sundal in the number 88 car, obviously paying dividends there for this race. Nasser and Caravasili, first and second there. Nasser with a 25-0 last lap against 26-0 for Caravasili. So obviously Caravasili there fighting with Burgoyne, lost a full second to Nasser, and you have to say the number 43 car now with a 5.5 second gap. It's not done deal, but it's a good cushion to have at this stage.
It is indeed, as Maurice Henry there gets ahead of Tim Docker coming into the chicane. Maurice Henry taking over from Fiona James, heading up towards the line, breaks the beam, goes through. So Maurice Henry, another driver that's come out of the Ginetta Junior ranks in the UK, goes down towards La Source. Tim Docker next in the queue. Then you've got John Lancaster to keep an eye on as he is hustling Ron Trenker's car up the order. And also in the mix will be Bradley Ellis, another driver to keep an eye on, having taken over from Klaus Halsig. Number 28, though, there is Kevin Rawshide. He's got this penalty to have added on at the end of the race. How's Ollie Webb doing? He's 9th overall, make that 8th overall, because he's now jumped ahead of Rawshide on the track, irrespective of the penalty. And another penalty is coming, and it's for John Lancaster. 22nd time penalty for being short on the pit stop.
Yeah.
Now the car controller, isn't it, with the stopwatch?
Yeah, these pit stops, they have to be timed obviously to perfection. You know, I think obviously teams are trying to get as quick as they can on a stopwatch to get out of the pits quickly. But yeah, if you even half a second off, penalties coming your way.
So Sam Nesser goes across the line, still chased by Leo Caravasili, and the gap between them is now, 5.9 seconds. And last time around, Nesser was slightly quicker by about 0.3. Still building that lead then. There going over the line is Alejandro Gapet, and getting a replay here of Lucas Sundal launching himself into the chicane. It's a great shot, that super slow-mo, but engineers hate it, don't they?
Yes, unfortunately, as drivers, I understand you have to use them to go quick around the track. And Lucas is a pro driver. He's obviously trying to maximize his speed there. He's leading the class and doing a great job.
Over the line goes Lucas Sundal, class leader. Now we've got a new fastest lap of the race. It is from Lucas Sundal. So this is, in Pro-Am, a class leader, but the fastest man on track now. Lucas Sundal perhaps feeling that now he can show what he's capable of. So accelerating downhill, and multiple Carrera Cup Scandinavia champion. He's won it, 5, 6 times. Massively experienced and successful GT type driver, switching to a different brand for this year. And right now, Lucas Sundal is flying, no question about it. Making that run now up towards Les Combes. He's got the road to himself, so having worked his way past Tom Holland, just checked out.
Very impressive performance there with that lap time at the end. Perhaps the team manager will forgive him for that curb usage now, and with that purple lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. Best lap of the race, and he might even be able to get up with some of the pros and humble them before the very end, which is 11 3/4 minutes away. Downhill then drops Lucas Sundal out of Speaker's Corner, uses the curb on exit with 2 of the wheels, which is all fine. That's within the regulations. Still the odd damp patch on the road there down towards Pouin, even though it's a fairly warm day. It's not much wind, so therefore the road isn't drying as quickly as it might on other occasions. This is the race leader, Sam Nesser, who you've got to say has been an absolute revelation in this championship this year, because he's still in his late teens, but thrown to all of these new venues in a really powerful car. Boy, has he delivered.
They have both delivered, both Josh Mason and Sam Nesser. What a pairing, really. 2 young lads, and especially Nesser, very, very young. And the pace and the composure, really, the way they drive the cars. Yeah, fantastic performance, and really deserving to lead the race today.
There is Alejandro Gapet. Another curb hopper behind is Robin Knutsen, but I think Knutsen's catching, isn't he? He looks better in the sectors. So as they come across the line, last time the margin between them was about 3 seconds. It's down to 1.5 seconds. So, yeah, Robin Knutsen has brought down that gap, and you can see how hard he's been trying, launching himself over that sausage curb into the chicane. It's clearly the Scandinavian line, isn't it? We saw Lucas Sundal bouncing over the curb, and now exactly the same thing from Robin Knutsen, with just over 10 minutes on the clock.
It certainly works for them, and Knutsen there 0.3 faster than the guy in front, Pat Romero, who's no slouch, very, very quick driver. Maybe that damage at the front of the car is costing them a little bit, to be fair. But yeah, great job by Knutsen there.
Absolutely right. Heading uphill again then, Alejandro Gapet in the SMC car. As a team, they've really had a tougher season this year. Perhaps you could argue that other teams have moved on and really improved, but they've also had a few dramas with either mechanical issues or one race, I think it was the Meakin car that didn't even start. So they've had a tough season by their high standards. You can see there the debris, the damage flapping around in the breeze. Now what's going on for second and third? I would suggest that Burgoyne is coming back at Caravicili here.
Yeah, but look at Sundal. Look at his lap time. Incredible pace by Lucas Sundal on a 22.8. No one has actually gone into a very low 23, and he's just popped a 22.8 there. So Sundal, very impressive in the number 88 Alphab car.
So there's Burgoyne. He runs third. The one sort of black sheep of the family, in a sense, for having not raced on the ovals. He escaped from the family dynasty of stock car racing, whether it's been in saloon stock cars or Formula 2, Brisker Formula 2 stock cars or mini stocks. So there's another offshoot of the family in stock rods, the supposedly non-contact 1400 hot rod formula, but very much circuit racing. Karting and circuit racing was Harry Burgoyne's way of establishing a career. Now this battle is Maurice Henry in the yellow and white car, and up the inside, about to go through and relieve him of the place, is John Lancaster. That's for 12th. Lancaster does it, but bear in mind that he's got this 20-second time penalty to be added on at the end for the short pit stop. So it's kind of out of his hands, really. John Lancaster just has to push, but it might be a forlorn hope. Getting away by 20 seconds in 8.5 minutes is quite a big ask.
It is a big ask, but good to see Maurice Henry there on track. These guys with Fiona James as well, Sherry and Fiona James, they've had a tough season and almost inside the top 10 there, P12 at the moment, but yeah, good to see the car going around and not bad pace as well. Maurice Henry there did a 25.0, I think, yeah. So getting to grips with the car. They're probably, of the crews this year, they're the ones that done probably least amount of laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sam Nessa here, though, just out on his own, leading now by 7.5 seconds. So unless he makes a mistake, he's pretty much home and dry. But in the background this time, Leo Caravicili looks like he's regrouped and he's starting to rebuild that gap over Harry Burgoyne. But there's just nothing that he can do about Sam Nessa, even allowing for the fact that there was a 3-second extra pit stop to serve. It's still a big gap that Sam Nessa has opened up, isn't it?
He has, yes. Again, Nessa is being like clockwork, really very consistent. And this pace is faster than Caravicili last lap by nearly 7/10. But I'm still, again, very impressed by Lucas Sundal's pace. A lap after lap, he's now done a 22.4. The guy is flying.
He is indeed. Lucas Sundal might yet get up onto the back of Robin Knudsen. That might be a tall order, but he's certainly charging. Here, using all of that extra push-to-pass power, is second place Leo Caravicili, trying not only to get away from this man, Harry Burgoyne, but also to get up onto the tail of Sam Nessa, coming now out of Pouen, and once again towards the pith path. So Caravicili a little bit frustrated, I think. I don't think it was an overly long pit stop. He may have lost a second or so on top of the 3, but the biggest problem for Caravicili is Sam Nessa's really impressive pace. Further back, battles are still on. Here, coming uphill, is Kevin Rawscheid. He's another one that's got a penalty to be applied post-race, and Rawscheid is now coming under attack from Maurice Henry. We've not really seen very much of Maurice this year because sadly Fiona James has been caught up in other people's incidents early on. But when he goes, Maurice Henry goes really well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. As I said earlier, great to see that car really doing laps. That's what they lack the most. And you know, Maurice has been a very promising driver. Came through the Ginetta school, I guess, and done very well. So yeah, good to see these guys back on track. And let's hope they have a solid result today and even better tomorrow.
Absolutely right. Now here is the fight for 4th place. There, look, is Robin Knudsen, who's almost on the back of Alejandro Gapet, then the reigning champion in the battered car in 4th place. Here, having his first outing of the season, Robin Knudsen behind. So new to McLaren Trophy, but driving like a veteran as he comes up now towards the line, goes through once again. Now down towards La Source. This is the scene of the lap 1 dramas that trigger the safety car, but the McShark car out of the hairpin, plunging downhill, keeping away from the sand, the seat speedy dry, and the clock ticking on down to just over 5.5 more minutes. Sam Nessa leading by 7.3 seconds. Last time around, that lead gap came down slightly.
Yeah, I think Nessa there in the lead with a solid gap there. I think he's just managing that very, very well. But Burgoyne has been faster than Caravicili in the last couple of laps. They've got equal lap times on the last one, but he's been inching into Caravicili's position in second place.
Absolutely right. So Nessa, Caravasali, Burgoyne, the top three. Gapet here fourth, Knutsen here fifth. They're all in that pro class. Lucas Sundal is catching Knutsen, but he won't get there in time, but he's on target for a class win. But Sam Nessa, not to take anything away from Josh Mason, has just been mighty. Second that car was when he took it over. He came out in front, well done team, but then he's built the gap and has not put a wheel wrong.
Absolutely, great to see as well. We were frankly hoping for this car to be, putting a good fight against the Jaden Kelly, Michael O'Brien car. Unfortunately, we didn't see that, but can't wait for tomorrow's race to see those two cars back on the grid against each other. But you've got to say, Josh Mason did a fantastic job in qualifying, against a very fast Jaden Kelly. He beat Jaden Kelly fair and square in a damn qualifying session, and here is Nasser doing the job in the race.
Absolutely right. Here he comes then out of the Cours Paul Frere, and still Sam Nessa, look, has some push to pass left. He's got nothing to pass, but he's using it to try to pull away and build the gap. So coming up now out of Blanchimont, he's up the curb. He accelerates again down towards the chicane, formerly the bus stop chicane, but its configuration now means that there's nothing like a bus stop. Even the signage has gone about that. So it's purely a chicane. He comes out the other side of it and accelerates towards the timing line. So Sam Nessa will go through with just under 4 minutes on the clock. He's got time for 2 more laps.
And just to mention here to Charles Schwartzman, who is just purple the first sector. Charles Schwartzman obviously pairs with Albert Joachim, and they just come back for this one race, having not raced at all this year. This is the first race of the year. And Charles showing what a pro he is. Very fast there on the first sector, and his best lap only a few tenths away from the overall fastest lap of the race. So very impressive comeback from Charles Schwartzman and Albert Joachim.
Yeah, Charles Schwartzman, who raced Formula 3, raced IndyCar very briefly, and single-seaters in the States, raced at Le Mans a few years ago. There is Lucas Sundal then. That's your Pro-Am class leader, and it's also the driver who is the fastest man out there. Fastest lap of the race set by Sundal on lap 14. We've now done 16 laps, as here Kevin Rawshide comes into the chicane, and he in turn is being chased very hard indeed. He's got a penalty though, don't forget. So as he comes up, sorry, it's not Kevin Rawshide, I'll tell you a lie. 42 it is, which means it's Charles Voltzmann. Bradley Ellis is behind him. So Voltzmann goes through the Neiman Autosport car, fourth in his class, but Bradley Ellis bearing down on him. Despite the fact that Voltzmann did a very good first sector, he had to go defensive in the second and the third, so that cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, so Voltzmann obviously pushing very hard. He's on the track limit warning as well, but certainly the pace is strong, and yeah, he needs to watch it.
Uphill here comes Bradley Ellis, looking for 9th place before the end. The lights flash. That's not to worry the driver in front necessarily. It might have that benefit, but it's to prove that he's using that push to pass. Lucas Sundal, fastest man on track, has just done a purple. Absolute best, therefore, first sector on this lap. As you look at Bradley Ellis working his way up through Les Cons. And just ahead of him is Charles Voltzmann. So you've got two very experienced sports car and GT campaigners here starting to battle for their AMs to try and get the best result they can in class. Ollie Webb is ahead on the road of Voltzmann. So Sundal from Tom Holland, from Ollie Webb, Charles Voltzmann, Bradley Ellis, the top 5 in the Pro-Am category.
And Ellis a couple of tenths faster than Voltzmann on the last lap there, so he is definitely inching into it.
He is indeed, as you look here at Alejandro Gapet, making his way now into that fast, long left of Blanchimont. Turns through the corner and now accelerates on down towards the chicane, heading into the right and then left flicks. The race leader has gone on to his last lap then now, so Sam Nessa has gone by 7.1 seconds clear. In second place, it remains Leo Caravasali. In third place, it is Harry Burgoyne. And then here is fourth and fifth. But Sam Nessa on his last lap. Another win heading for the Greystone GT team. Tim Docker is up the road. He might actually inherit a class win, Tim Docker. We need to keep an eye on this because the two ahead of him in AM have both got penalties of 40 seconds for one and 20 seconds for another. So we'll keep an eye to it. Meanwhile, Sam Nessa, very, very good drive. A second win of the season beckons. And although he clips the curb there, he has just been a standout driver in this race.
Fantastic, absolutely driver of the day, if you ask me. A solid, solid performance all the way through, and only, I'm not even sure he's 18 years old yet. I think he's 17.
Depressing,
so, yeah, I think he gets other people to drive him to go to places at the moment. But anyway, fantastic performance by these two, and I can't wait to see the battle for the second half of the season. As we finish this race today, we actually reached the halfway point into the season, believe it or not. And yeah, what a prospect now for this car, number 43, Josh Mason and Sam Nasser, to take the fight up against the Michael O'Brien, Jaden Kelly car that we felt was going to be dominant throughout the season. So we have a real championship in our hands.
Really exciting, isn't it? As you say, halfway point battle on here. Tom Holland under attack for second in Pro-Am. Ollie Webb has caught up, as you might anticipate, given Ollie's huge amount of experience. So we have here Sam Nasser on his final lap. The clock has got to 0, so the flag will greet him this time around. And he comes then now up through the long, fast right. Still, Sam Nasser with some of the extra push to pass to use. There's no benefit to using it, but he might as well, because it makes the car go even faster.
He's trying to get fastest lap there, but
Yeah,
I don't think he will quite make it. But yeah, impressive again to see that. And they've got a bit at the end. They haven't used all of it yet. So yeah, absolute dominant performance, and a well-deserved win there for the Great Stone number 43 car.
Out of the chicane then comes Sam Nasser. It's a second win of the season in McLaren Trophy Europe for Sam Nasser, and Josh Mason. Across the line goes the Greystone GT car. In second place it's going to be Leo Caravasili, sharing with Sam Harrison that led early on, and third goes the way of Harry Burgoyne, bringing home the car that he shares with Zach Meekin. A very happy Josh Mason walks off the pit wall. If you think about McLaren's and success, well, go back to 1995, a kind of anniversary year, given that we're in 2025. It was a McLaren win at Le Mans. It was also the first McLaren win in the then BPR GT series. One of the engineers on the winning car of Ray Bellm and Maurizio Sandro Sala was one Jeff Kingston, who's engineered the winning car today. Now, you might think it's impossible for a man so young in his looks, but trust me, he's 17 and a half now, Jeff Kingston. So his CV is a long and illustrious one. Over the line goes Ollie Webb to finish second in class. He got that second away from Tom Holland on the last lap in Pro-Am. A class win, though, for Lucas Sundal. We'll apply the penalties post-race once everybody's across the line, and then we'll have a result. But you've got to say, after all the talk early on about how well Sam Harrison was going, Sam Nasser proved to be an absolute star, as here number 80, John Lancaster, heads through the chicane, but he also will have a penalty to be put on at the end.
Yeah, it's great to see those two cars there at the top, Nasser and Caravasali. You know, new crews to the championship this year, and performing incredibly well, both of them. Well, both cars.
Indeed so. This is Maurice Henry, who is going to finish in 12th place on the road in the Speedworks Race Lab entry. Goes through, and a good drive by Maurice Henry. So he will be ahead of John Lancaster because of the penalty that's applied to number 80 for the wrong pit stop time. So a second win of the year for Sam Nasser and Josh Mason. That's going to help them in the championship. It's kind of not going to help, though, for tomorrow, because they will pick up the maximum success penalty going into tomorrow's race. But it's going to make it interesting. And, of course, the second race has a standalone qualifying session, which we've not yet had. So Danny Henry, Michael O'Brien, particularly, hoping that the damage is not too great, because they need the cars to be good for Q2.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, obviously, being here at the 24-hour of Spa, it means the schedule is very tight, so hopefully the teams will get enough time to get it ready for qualifying.
Indeed so. Well, let's celebrate a win in the meantime for Josh Mason and Sam Nasser from Sam Harrison and Leo Caravasili. Then you've got Zach Meekin and Harry Burgoyne for third, ahead of Mikael Karlsson and Robin Knudsen. It is Will Aspin fifth, although he was involved in that first corner tangle. Alejandro Gapet relayed him. Eric Behrens and Lucas Sundal sixth, and winning their class from Ryan James and Ollie Webb. Then 8th and 3rd in Pro-Am, Nick Halstead and Tom Holland ahead of Albert Jochems and Charles Voltzmann. Welcome back. 5th in Pro-Am, Klaus Halsig and Brad Ellis. On the road, it was Jens Richter and Kevin Rorscheid winning in Am. Tim Docker ending up 2nd. The penalty for Chris Hall and Bill Fenech dropping them to 3rd and last within the Ams. We lost, of course, Jaden Kelly and Danny Henry with their contretemps at La Source on the opening lap. So Josh Mason and Sam Nasser winners for the second time this season, and the Greystone GT car Another mighty effort. One of the best drilled teams in the championship. They've been involved in McLaren Trophy Europe right from the launch of the championship, and so being able to use all of that experience to very good effect. So drivers will be whisked towards the podium very shortly. As Tommy says, it's a tight timetable at Spa. There's a GT2 race not far away, so the teams for that are going to be heading to the circuit pretty shortly. But the Pro, the Pro-Am and the Am podiums to come. Sam Nesser there with Josh Mason, who's going to be racing in the 24 hours, for which there is the warm-up session at the end of the day, the Super Pole for the fastest 20 qualifiers today, although they didn't get into that. But Josh was quickest in his class in his isolated qualifying session, so showing good GT3 pace. First time out in a GT3 spec car in anger. So there he is, helmet off. Sam Nesser drops his gloves on the floor. Josh, ever the gentleman, picks them up. Former single-seater racer. Sam Harrison there talking to Leo Caravasili. And there the Happy Greystone crew can start the celebrations very shortly. Sam Harrison, Leo Caravasili discuss their race. But Sam Nesser and Josh Mason come out on top. Will Aspin there in the background, but our race winners take a second victory of the season. Sam Nesser and Josh Mason are with Alex Le Gouy.
Boys, come here, Sam. My goodness me, that was a masterclass in winning in a McLaren around Spa. Firstly, let's start with you. That was brilliant off the line, and you kept out of mischief, considering the chaos that was going on around and behind you.
No, exactly. Again, it's just getting off the line, which we did. But actually, on the safety car restart, I made a little mistake, so the ALM car got past. But no, I think for us, it was just to stay consistent and be within that 3-second window, because I knew they had a penalty for the pit stop. But no, Sam did a really good job to bring it home, and yeah, just another win in our pockets.
Very nicely done and set up, yes, very nicely for you. My goodness me, what a drive. I think you ended up sort of 5 seconds ahead. At what point do you get to relax and aware that you're finishing on top, or is it just foot to the floor the whole way?
To be first few laps, it's kind of like, bang a few good laps out, build the gap up. And then as soon as the gap got to about 7 seconds, I knew that I could just be careful and just bring it home and just make sure that we don't, obviously you don't want to lob it off the last corner. Yeah. And yeah, last few laps you can kind of come down to about 85% and just cruise your way home.
Brilliant. Well done. Really, really well done.
Very good effort. Second win of the season for Josh Mason and for Sam Nesser. There's Klaus Halsig talking to Bradley Ellis with the rather interesting livery on the side. Oh, that's what he said. We need to investigate all of this, I think, for race 2, don't we? A look at the highlights of race 1 at Spa of McLaren Trophy Europe. A good getaway off the line for Josh Mason, put him into the lead ahead of Sam Harrison. Jaden Kelly tardy out of the blocks, and then to add to the woes, he was tagged by Will Aspin that turned him around, and Danny Henry found himself with nowhere to go. A very sudden stop, 2 badly damaged cars, safety car called, others scattered in avoidance. From another angle you could see being tagged around Jaden Kelly and Danny Henry just completely unsighted until the last split second. A big, big impact, and as he drove away, coolant pouring out of the front of the car. That meant that the marshals needed to go onto the circuit and try and put all of that cement dust down to soak up the liquid. We went back racing with Josh Mason ahead of Sam Harrison, but it wasn't long before Sam was able to wriggle a way through and then actually build quite an interesting gap before the pit stop window. So hard racing, and this is how he got the race lead. Round the outside, going up towards Les Cons. By the end of the lap, he'd built the gap, and it looked as though that car was on target for honours, as Ryan James was starting to struggle a bit in Pro-Am and falling back in the pack. Nick Halstead with a brave move round the outside, coming down to Les Cons, went through and was able to secure the place, but when Tom Holland got into the car, it dropped back a little bit in class. Another good battle was raging on as bouncing wide, coming downhill with number 90 Leo Caravasili trying to hang on to second place. Fastest lap went to this car, Lucas Sundal, launching himself up the curb, but it was a race win for Josh Mason and Sam Nesser as the car came through the chicane on target for a second success of the season, with Ollie Webb getting second in Pro-Am on the last lap with a really brave move around the outside coming out of Bruxelles. That translated to the inside for Speaker's Corner. Job done. Brave stuff. Checkered flag, though, to Josh Mason and Sam Nesser. A second win of the season. And there's going to be more to come from McLaren Trophy Europe at Spa-Francorchamps tomorrow. We've had the halfway point of the season, and now it's getting really interesting in the title race.